welcome to Dawg Sports Live. This is Sunday, February 21st, and we are here to break down. This is the first of our spring previews of Georgia's position units. My name is Graham Coffey, and I am joined by Mr. Josh Hancher. Say hello, Josh.
Hey, guys. We're back. And sorry for the little incorrect tweet from earlier, but we are live now. We're here.
It wouldn't be a show with Graham and Josh without at least one glitch in the technology matrix. So now we've got that one out of the way. We're ready to roll. We're going to start out our spring previews talking about the quarterbacks. JT Daniels came in into last season, and with him at the helm, Georgia has more certainty at quarterback than at any point, probably since the days of Aaron Murray. He flashed a lot of promise in the 4 starts that he had to end the season, and I would say Georgia fans have a right to be excited about what a full offseason will do for his relationship with the wide receivers and what Todd Monken can do with his arm over the next 6-8 months. But there is a few things that could be the difference between another 10-2 season for Georgia and an undefeated regular season Heisman finalist kind of year for Daniels. So we're going to get into a little position breakdown of him a little bit later. But first, we want to talk about the depth chart. First, obviously, is Daniels. Obviously, he started 4 games after tearing his ACL at USC in the first game of his sophomore season in 2019. I think it's easy to forget that he was the 3rd-ranked quarterback in the class of 2018. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields both have had really great careers, have been Heisman Trophy finalists, have played for national championships, and are on to the NFL. And Daniels was kind of the 3rd guy out of that class that everyone thought was going to be a stud quarterback. So last year, he really sort of flashed that 5-star potential for the first time. He threw for 1,231 yards in 4 games, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If you watch Georgia, you know the offense looked totally different with him versus without him. Second on the depth chart with Daniels is going to be Stetson Bennett, maybe. Bennett was never in Georgia's plans for 2019, but Jamie Newman left. Dwan Mathis didn't pan out, and the lights came on, and all of a sudden Georgia was losing to Arkansas with about 10 minutes to go in the first half and entered Bennett. And his size was a liability. His arm strength wasn't great. He took risks he probably shouldn't have, and he had a tendency to lock onto receivers when other guys were open. But despite all of his flaws, Georgia probably would have been around 500 in 2020 without him being in the program. So I don't think he'll be in Georgia's plans for 2020. But if he remains the backup come opening day, I think that tells us a lot about where Brock Vandagriff and Carson Beck are. Josh is running some clips here, and in them you kind of see the good and the bad of Bennett. There was some great moments, but also had a tendency to stare down guys and not recognize open receivers. This 3rd and 10 here against Alabama.
This is pretty great. Here we go. This, we're going to talk about quarterbacks, and the first thing we're going to play is, Alabama. But hey, this guy's on a roster, like you said. I mean, we wouldn't have. Yeah, this is just where he just stares them down, and there's a lot of debate about this particular play. But again, we were, that. I guess technically that's a drop, but that's a bad throw.
Yeah, and there was some other throws in that game that were rough. But here's our guy, Brock Vandagriff. Him and Carson Beck, this is going to be the position battle to watch if you're a Georgia fan this spring. We know Daniels is going to start. We know Bennett is still on the roster with some starting experience in the SEC, which is valuable. But chances are that one of these guys, Brock Vandagriff or Carson Beck, is going to be Daniels' backup. And whoever wins this position battle is going to have the inside track to be Georgia's starter in 2021. Assuming that Daniels goes to the NFL draft after next season. Beck was a 4-star recruit from the class of 2020. He was a blue-chip recruit, not a mega recruit like Vandagriff. Vandagriff, as you can see here, is tall. He's got a big arm. He has all of the tools that scouts salivate over, but don't sleep on Carson Beck. Vandagriff comes in with a torn PCL in his shoulder that was injured during his team's run to the state title. So I don't know how healthy he is. He's got the ability to throw the ball a mile, and everyone's raved about his competitiveness, but Beck has a leg up in this competition probably at the moment. He's healthy. He spent a season under Monken in the offense. Spring practice is going to be a great opportunity for both of them. But, Beck was a 4-star recruit. Like, he wasn't this mega recruit like Daniels or Vandagriff were, but he won a state title in Florida. And, we just watched Mac Jones win a Heisman after being a 3-star recruit out of Jacksonville. So, you never know where that production is going to come from down the road.
And he flipped from Florida to Georgia. So I mean,
Yeah, and he was committed to Alabama at one time. So and everyone wanted him. You know what I mean?
But let's talk about JT. Let's talk about break down this play right here. He's got a little bit of mobility that we like to see from him.
Yeah. So I mean, first with Daniels, let's start with the good. He has excellent processing ability. If you watch him, even though that's an incomplete pass there, he sees the field like a 10-year NFL vet. That's not an exaggeration. He does not stare down his primary target. He does a great job of finding open guys in his starts that we saw from him. When the ball is snapped, he is never going to stare down his primary receiver. I think that was a kind of a drop, maybe a little bit misplaced ball there to McKitty, but we're going to see some stuff here that really is what you want to see from a young quarterback, which JT Daniels is, he's about to be a senior technically, but this guy only has 16 starts under his belt in college football. That pass there, he's going to start here. He's going to look off the defender. That was actually just great recognition of seeing George Pickens open, but he's got good processing ability. He just finds open guys when they're there.
This guy just took off too early. He looks at him and just sees right there. He's got him right on the stick or whatever you want to call that play. I'm going to get lit up, but look at that. Just perfect. They're in sync. I'm going to see that all. I can't wait to see this all season long.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, we're going to look at a lot of clips from this Mississippi State game, which was his first ever start. But the thing you notice with Daniels is he really reads defensive backs well. When there is a guy, when there's a defensive back with his back turned, he is going to punish him for that. The other thing we really like about him is he throws it into tight windows. He anticipates his receiver's breaks, and then ball placement right there is the ball placement we're talking about. He is seeing the field in a 3-dimensional kind of way. A lot of quarterbacks, they only see 2-dimensional windows. They see openings and they try and throw them there. Daniels really uses the trajectory of the ball very well. He has great touch and he has the ability to loft the ball over defenders, just like that throw to Robertson there. He trusts his arm in a way that we haven't really seen from a quarterback in Athens in a long time. Fromm was really comfortable throwing the ball to the sidelines, but I can't recall too many times where he, was using his touch as frequently as we see Daniels do it. I think that's the promise of Daniels that's so tantalizing to Georgia fans and to probably the NFL scouts as well, is there's a little bit of that Aaron Rodgers ability to see things that a normal quarterback isn't going to see.
Yeah. So now, and we like this, he can still do things with his legs too. I believe we got some of him.
Yeah.
Rolling out here.
Yeah. And I mean, that's he is comfortable throwing on the run. And we'll show you some stuff later where he gets himself into trouble a little bit trying to scramble around too much, but he moves the pocket well. That's another, just well-placed ball to the sideline. Yeah, I mean, he's comfortable throwing the ball in tight coverage. This is going to be another ball to Burton right here. Boom. There's not a lot of guys that are confident enough to throw that. And there's times where maybe that's a dangerous throw. Yeah, that's tight. But
It's,
after watching DeJuan Mathis and Stetson Bennett play all year and not have confidence last season, watching him come in and just like seeing that belief was great. This ball right here to Pickens, like it kind of looks like a chuck it sort of like screw it sort of throw. But the reality is that he looked downfield, he saw his best receiver in single coverage with the defender's back turned, and he put it where only his guy was going to catch it.
Well, did he think he had a free play with the because he looked right here. Yeah, and I don't know if they call. I think they did call offside. So I mean, this is just the Aaron Rodgers. I got a free play, so yeah, just chuck it. You know, and if he knows where number one is, and that's who he's going to give that ball to right there. And
well, another thing I really like about him is his ability to stand in. Like he is not afraid of contact, and especially coming off of a pretty catastrophic knee injury. He hung in and took a lot of hits. And there was a point in time in this Missouri game where the score was tied and they were throwing blitzes at him a lot. And he got comfortable with the contact and with the pressure. And then he started making plays like that where it's like, okay, this is man coverage, cover zero. They're gonna bring a bunch of backers at me, and I've got George on a slant route. That's easy. That's a touchdown every day. And then this ball to Washington right here too. It's a little bit underthrown, but it's still put in the spot where your 6'7" guy can make a play that's going to be really hard for the defender to make. So you have to like just his ability to recognize matchups in real time and exploit them.
Yeah, so good. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it. We're returning 95% of our offense next year. I mean, it's just, I just cannot wait to see more of this.
Georgia,
it was like we were all like just, pulling our hair out at the end of the year and going, where has this been? And, the debate of, wow, he didn't play earlier. It can, we're not going to go back there. But now we got him. Let's, and it's everything's looking good. Like you say, barring any sort of bad news, he's the man for no question.
Totally. Yeah. And let's play that back one more time, because that's that kind of moving the pocket we're talking about. These next two plays here, or this is a run to Cook, but yeah, this one right here. I mean, this is 3rd and 10. It's a tie game. Missouri has got momentum. There's a minute left in the first half. You don't want to punt back to him.
Right.
And, Monken calls a sideline throw, moves the pocket. I mean, he looks extremely comfortable throwing the ball on the run, and he puts it, in a perfect spot for Kyrus to make it. And then this is his first ever touchdown pass at Georgia. Similar rollout to the right type of play, and just create an angle where he can put the ball in to Pickens that wouldn't exist from the pocket. I mean, that was,
that's sick.
When that happened, I stood up from my couch and was like, okay, this everything just changed for Georgia football with this guy.
I mean, as Jake Fromm wasn't making that throw. He just wasn't. I mean, it's just not his game. And this is the best quarterback, right? Since probably, since Matt Stafford in terms of, but Stafford, just in terms of NFL. Frame.
NFL.
Murray was accurate and very poised and a great leader. I mean, but there's some stuff that JT has that Aaron just doesn't.
Totally.
And that's why he's got a podcast, and JT Daniels is going to be playing on Sunday.
Yeah, he's not going to be hanging out with Drew Butler. This right here, that footwork and ball delivery was probably the best throw he made all season. Pickens dropped it in the end zone, but the evading of the rush and spinning out and then finding your guy in a window between two defenders in the perfect spot, that was his best throw of the year, in my opinion. And the fact that he was doing that now, we know on a knee that
you can see. He doesn't really step into it. Look at it. He just kind of flings it.
Yeah.
You can see he's still not trusting that knee.
And the play before that throw to Kyrus, that was, that's a ball that Jackson should catch for a touchdown, but that ball was underthrown. And I think this shot right here, if he puts that out there, it's an easy touchdown. And I think the thing that's the biggest thing for him is hitting some of these deep ball wide receivers. But, that play happened, and then the drop by Pickens that we just showed happened, and then show them what happens next on the play after this is, he's got poise. And I think he's got that rare trait that few quarterbacks possess. And when shit hits the fan, he's going to keep firing. He's got a short memory. And I mean, the Cincinnati game, we saw that. Yeah, you've just had 2 touchdown passes in a row dropped. You get a holding penalty after a third down conversion to make it 3rd and 20. Again, that ball's a little underthrown, truthfully. But Jackson cleared his man by 5 yards, so it really didn't matter anyways. But I mean, that's a lot of mental toughness. And the average 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid isn't able to stay that level snap to snap throughout a major college football game.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, we were obviously, everyone that followed anything to do with SEC football, especially Georgia fans, knew that just the offense was very, very pedestrian, and Monken was calling good plays, and we just couldn't execute them. But I'm tracking that whole yards per play stat, net yards per play, and Georgia was middle of the pack, not much different than the Ole Misses and LSU's and the teams that weren't really competitive. But man, I mean, we increased it almost by a full yard just in those 4 games we had.
Really?
And I mean, it's not hard to say that was going to be an elite level production with 10 or 12 full games of JT Daniels. So I mean, it's a game changer, total absolute game changer. And we were all I was scratching my head. It's like when he transferred in on the heels of Newman, having already sort of come over from Wake Forest, and and thank goodness. I mean, Kirby knew what he was doing.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, when you're talking about that net yards per play, I know that's something you and I have talked about in the past, but for some folks that might be watching this for the first time.
Yeah, we talk a lot of, the EPAs and some of the success rates and all sort of the stuff, explosiveness and all that sort of stuff. But net yards per play is a really basic stat where you just take your offensive yards per play and you subtract your defensive yards per play. So it's just sort of kind of an overall scale on if you have a really good defense, you obviously you can make up some of that, but your good to great defenses are 4 yards per play. Your really great offenses are 6.5, 7 yards per play, and you really want to get to where your offense is putting up 1.5 minimum to 2 yards per play better than your defense is allowing, and that gets you into elite level college football playoff field kind of stuff. And Alabama was 3 yards net per play last year, and all and as bad as Ohio State was, or some people say not as bad as they were, but as everyone was questioning their resume, they had a really, really strong net yards per play, as did Clemson, and Notre Dame not so much. But
funny how that worked out, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's college football playoff teams that have a higher net yards per play against other college. I mean, in the college football playoff are winning 70% of the games. So it's a measure of how good you are against everyone else, and also it's fairly predictive of an outcome of an individual game at that point of the season when you've got a larger sample size.
Nice. Oh, that's yeah, and that's something we'll be tracking a lot on the show as we move into the regular season.
Once we get some stats. All right, what else we got here? Let's get into some more plays here.
Yeah,
let's get into that Cincinnati drive.
Yeah, the last drive of the game there.
Yeah.
Or no, this is kind of some of the the bad. We've talked a lot about the good with JT. The bad is that there's a tendency to play a little bit of hero ball and do too much. And this is a perfect example where that ball should have been thrown out of bounds 2 seconds ago. He's fortunate there that, that ball kind of flutters out of bounds instead of popping up in the air into a defender's hands for an interception. But it's undue risk. And we saw kind of flashes of it in his first few starts, but when things really started going poorly against Cincinnati, he started pressing more than necessary. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And then this is the other thing is he struggles. I mean, that ball, not so much, but there's times where he really struggles with deep shots. And yeah, this is a poor decision on that interception. But like right here, I believe is the fumble. No.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh yeah, that's just like what's going on. Yeah, exactly. I guess he's trying to throw that ball
here's
away.
I believe this is a fumble here.
Yeah.
No.
So
this
is an underthrown deep ball, and that's a touchdown to Arian Smith if that ball is laid out into the paint of the end zone. And
this is the fumble where he's just trying. Yeah, just get down.
It's like, dude, just get rid of the ball or get down. Yeah, one or the other.
And you're down 11. You're inside close to the red zone, and you fumble. That you shouldn't come back from that. That's just bad play.
Well, and he fumbled 2 possessions. I believe it was either 2 in a row or 2 out of 3. But yeah, I mean, Georgia was down 11, and there was 2 fumbles in that third quarter on what could have been touchdown drives. But here you are down 2 with a minute to go. This guy is thrown for almost 400 yards, but he's had a rough day. He's been responsible for 3 turnovers, and he makes the right play there to McIntosh. Like that's the game-winning play right there. And this is the difference between Hot Pod probably kicking the game winner and not kicking the game winner is finding Fitzpatrick on that short little route. And then here you're 2nd and 6, no timeouts, 15 seconds left. And that's not a complete pass.
But it didn't complete, but it didn't cost us anything. And, you didn't throw it to a guy that was open that wouldn't have gotten out of bounds, and it killed the clock.
Right. The clock didn't stop. Here, though, like that was probably should have been intercepted, honestly, but it wasn't. It got away with it. But, like, that really was glaring in the second half against Cincinnati, and we didn't see it as much in his first 3 starts. Was like there were guys streaking wide open, and he was underthrowing them at times. Most of the time he's underthrowing them. Sometimes he's overthrowing them. Let's look at those next couple of clips from the Mississippi State game if you have them. Or no. Yeah, this is it. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of that same sort of like, not every play has to be a touchdown. If this is the play I think it is. Yeah, it's just like, hey, man, let's
get rid of it.
Let's get down. Let's get rid of the ball. And this right here, like we've talked a lot about his deep ball not being great. This, when he steps into the ball and drives off his front foot, like that ball is thrown into a small window from 60 yards away to the sideline. Like there are not that many dudes walking around on planet Earth that can make that throw. The question is, what kind of happened the last few games where he started underthrowing some of those balls? Was that his knee, or is it a psychological thing? Because like Burton is never that open on this play. And so it's like, okay, I got to throw this ball precisely. And I wonder a little bit with him if it's a psychological thing of this guy's wide open, I don't want to overthrow it. Because like that's an underthrow. Jermaine Burton makes a great catch and bodies off that defender. And that's a free play shot. Like that was an offsides, but still that ball thrown out in front of Burton in stride is a touchdown. And, knowing after the season that he's going to have knee surgery, and obviously we knew his knee was bad, and that's why he didn't play for most of the season. Like, I wonder if some of that has to do with the back right knee. And if maybe we'll see him, and maybe even in G-Day, we'll see him look different and kind of drive off that back foot, and that would be very encouraging. But I would think that's probably priority 1 for Todd Monken this offseason is working with him on his mechanics. Because like if you'll run one of those plays again, you can kind of see when he goes to throw those deep balls that he underthrows, like he doesn't really drive off the back foot, and his hip kind of opens up too soon. before his hips opening and following through before his arm is, and really his shoulder should be coming through first, and so he's losing all of his velocity, and then also like he's cocked back, and he's throwing off his back foot, and it's like he really should be driving off that back foot and stepping in. He has such a strong arm that he gets away with it more often than not, but if he'll really work on those mechanics on those kind of 30-plus yard throws, then with what Georgia returns at receiver and running back and the ability to, or the necessity for defenses to respect both sides of the ball, that like JT Daniels could legitimately be a Heisman finalist kind of quarterback next year. And that's not me being a homer or exaggerating. Like there's going to be guys open all over the field when you return your 7 top wide receivers and you have the stable of running backs that Georgia has. Like defenses will have to pick their poison, and he can take advantage of that.
Well, you were talking about some of those things about getting rid of the ball, or don't take that sack or whatever, and or playing the hero ball. There is a side to that is good. I mean, not to mention just the mental toughness and the short memory like you talk about, but Aaron Rodgers I was listening to the Football Analytics show, and they had a guy that beat writer for the Packers. It talks about, he's notorious for avoiding sacks, but sometimes those sacks that you're avoiding, sometimes you give up on a play, or you're scared, you don't want to throw an interception, so you throw it away. And I mean, that was definitely Jake Fromm. Don't turn the ball over, don't take sacks. But, JT Daniels is a different kind of quarterback. And yeah, right. He might have a bad sack every now and then, or he might throw an ill-advised pass where he trusts his arm too much and he gets picked off or whatever. But, you can't take that away from him, because those can be game-changing plays too. And if he's just a different quarterback than we've seen, certainly way different than any quarterback that we've seen in a few years, certainly in the Kirby Smart era. Of course, we've only seen really just a little bit of Eason, and 3 years of Fromm. But I love having a quarterback that it looks to be as good. I mean, he can only. I mean, if he cleans up some of the stuff you're talking about and you learn and trust his knee, or he gets his knee completely healthy and fires, I mean, he's going to be trouble.
No, yeah, I mean, he's got that gunslinger mentality, and first of all, it's fun to watch. And as a Georgia fan, I think there's been a lot of success in the Kirby Smart era, but those teams, other than 2017, in 2018, Georgia's offense was awesome, but other than those 2 years, Georgia's offense hasn't really been fun to watch. Last year, 2019 was like just such a trudge. I think it was, how many games was it that we didn't have a pass over 10 yards? It was like 4 or 5 in a row. And then Fromm finally hit Blaylock on that bomb. We had 9 straight 3-and-outs to end the Auburn game. When you're up 3 touchdowns, it should be able to salt this game away. And a lot of that was Coley, but a lot of that was also, the loss of his wide receivers really, I think, shook Jake Fromm's confidence in a way that no one expected. And especially when Cager wasn't healthy, that was the one guy he trusted. Later in the year, he started to develop a rapport with Pickens and Blaylock, and we saw a little flow come back to that offense by Georgia Tech in the Sugar Bowl. But it was just maddening to watch. And like the Kirby Smart kind of mantra, at least from the outside looking in, has been a lot of, you're not going to go broke taking a profit, 3 yards, 3.5 yards of play equals a first down, which is true, but it's not, there's times, especially in this day and age of college football with the offenses you face, where like you have to be able to go and score in a couple minutes, and you have to be able to counterpunch on offense. And there was all the talk last year of Saban's comments about
you got to get the safeties out of the running plays, and the only way to do that is to challenge downfield. And my favorite quote from JT Daniels is like, you've got George Pickens and all this talent at wide receiver, I'm going to throw the ball to him. It's like, they're not there to block.
We brought him here, they were recruited, I'm going to throw the ball to him, and it's like, and you could tell the the way that the receivers started to play once he came in was totally different. And the way they blocked was better too, because it was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a cookie if I do good here. They're gonna throw me a bone. But I think that the hire of Todd Monken, in hindsight, we thought it was going to be a great thing. We thought it was going to be kind of modernizing this offense and opening things up more. And that was the case from game one on. The plays were there. The receivers were wide open, but we just didn't have a quarterback that could recognize open men and hit them. And then once Daniel showed up, you're averaging over 300 yards a game passing. And that South Carolina game, we threw the ball 16 times. Like it was just a run them into the dust kind of situation.
Yeah,
so
9-minute drive, no passes to end the game. 9 minutes,
which is absolutely sexual, and I'm always for.
Man! All right, we got to get out of here.
You got any other thoughts?
No, man. I'm just happy to be back. But you've got some work stuff going on. I got some work stuff going on, but we're gonna try to get some stuff out there so that we're ready for G-Day, and before we know it, it'll be here. So, I'm good. Go Dogs! Take us out of here, Graham.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. This was the first of our spring position previews. We'll be back probably later this week or maybe next weekend with our next one, and we'll get through all of them before we hit G-Day, and then we'll have a lot of fodder to talk about then. Thank you guys for joining us. Please like this video if you're watching it on YouTube, and even if you're not watching it on YouTube, please go and subscribe to the Dawg Sports Live YouTube channel. We've already seen a lot of participation there, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. You can find Josh on Twitter at dog_stats. You can find me on Twitter at dogoutwest, and you can find this show also on dawgsports.com, who is kind enough to let us come on here and talk out of our asses. So we appreciate them. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
All right.